healthcare industry, and today is the 27th of January 2021 at 10 in the morning. Just a couple of bits on housekeeping before we actually dive into today's table talk session. We will be recording the session today, so for the purposes of the recording, all people's microphones will be muted so that we can conduct the table talk session. There will be an opportunity for questions to be raised during the table talks. If you can put those on the chat, and Zara at the end of today's session will pick up those questions and answer them. For GDPR as well, obviously if you've got your cameras on, your cameras will be capturing images from your camera and displayed within that recording. So if you don't want to be part of the recording, please tick your cameras to be switched off. So that's the housekeeping. What we'd like to do is dive straight into the table talk session today with Paul Miller. So as mentioned, my name's Alex Rumsey. I work in the TDSI as part of the sales team, and I'm joined today with Paul Miller, who is the director owner of RJ Provue. And the purpose of today's talk is to talk about a series of recent projects that we've completed, TDSI and RJ Provue, with a leading private medical company in the UK that's now been deployed and rolled out to multiple locations, in excess of 15 locations throughout the UK. So from a setting a scene point of view, the project started at TDSI some 3-4 years ago. Back in early 2017, we first engaged with the large private medical company in the UK, and it started off with the usual conversations and email exchange, and ultimately a meeting face to face, where we as a business sat down with key decision makers within the company to discuss and understand what their requirements were. And as part of that, we came out with like a summary of key wish lists and features that they wanted to be seen. So to summarize those, they wanted a hardwired access control system. They wanted a wireless access control system on also key doors around the site. They wanted a system that was able to operate in real time. So any activity or actions that were being carried out around that site were being captured in real time. More importantly, one of the things that I took away from those meetings is that they wanted it in real time and being able to capture the auditability of the actions and the events on those sites. So they had necessary compliances that they had to meet and conform to. And they wanted it to be able to be scalable across not just one site or two sites, but many sites. To date, they've got in excess of 30 sites, and we're about 50% of the way through the deployment across that estate. So as part of that process, we've understood their requirements, and then there was an opportunity, because obviously we can actually manufacture the equipment, but we don't implement it and install that equipment across the estate. So we engage with our partners, and our preferential partner in this case in the area that met their requirements and met their sort of design criteria. We engaged with our local partner Paul Miller at RJ Provue, and we introduced them to the project so that they were able to ultimately take that project forward from a conceptual sort of design to a real tangible project that can actually be quoted and implemented across their site through quotation and installation. So that project started with a set of drawings and a list of requirements point of view. Then what we did as a business, we then asked Paul to engage with them. And this is where we're going to start with the questions that we want to pose to Paul today, so that we can get some real beneficial installer, integrator, partner feedback from a customer. So Paul, from our perspective, we've developed the project to an inquiry stage and a real live project. How did you go about, Paul, understanding what the customer requirements were for the project, to put in a quotation together, to then getting a formal order on that project?
Thank you for that. With the introduction, we've worked with TDSI across the platforms for a long period of time. Built up a very good relationship, not just with the business, but for the technical side of things. which then leads us on to the design process. One of the design process, following an introduction from the manufacturer as we go through, is also then to make sure that we have captured everything that the client was looking for. The feedback initially from the client was about not just the security of the building, but also the day-to-day operation of the building. From previous manufacturers and previous solutions that they tried to implement, stability was key. There had been a lot of issues around stability, product selection, combined with the day-to-day operation of the business. Looking at how we were to look at the scope, one thing that's key for our business and is massive for TDSI moving forward is system integrations. The client was clear from day one that we had a mix of additional access control with the reliability and the stability of which TDSI has offered, but also the added features of the likes of wireless locking integration, linking into some of the approved video management systems, linking in with the intruder side of things, but also then from the day-to-day side of things, making things easy with a very simple management platform, which we could have as a web-based platform for the day-to-day users for a simple operation. What also became clear and apparent was also the different credentials that we needed to manage the site. They're not just the day-to-day ID cards. We've actually deployed now not just the ID cards, but looking at the fobs and also the wristbands. A lot of the MyFair technology that we've looked to put into place. One key feature of using the TDSI platform was the ability to add multiple doors through a very stable wireless deployment, and then which was backed as part of the structured cabling. It does set some of the integrations that we worked with previously apart, with the ability to be able to deploy X amount of wireless technology through the platform, giving the customer the ability to be able to review, manage and keep live the doors from a wireless locking solution in exactly the same format as a traditional access control door. This has been key and proved through the initial deployment, from the design process to the first deployment on site, and then to give the customer the options then to add on. It's not all day one integration. We're now looking further down the road with day 2 and day 3. Some of the key needs of how the buildings are managed, how the receptions are done, how the fairly small teams in some of the private healthcare centres up to some of the bigger side of things, how they actually deal with the day-to-day management. And that's how we basically took the original design specification that was fed back to us, sat down with the client, took a full understanding, and then start breaking down, concentrating on the key operational needs as opposed to just the security needs to add to the management and facilitate of the day-to-day management of the health centres, which then led us on to the design, which is an open design with the client, which has to be scalable. Some of the sites are quite small. Some of the sites have become quite big, with some additional add-ons, with the core focus on stability and operational.
Thank you, Paul. That's great to get that feedback and get that understanding of getting a concept and taking it through to being a flexible and deliverable system. Did you, Paul, face any challenges when you were actually developing the integrated system for the customer and for the projects as they started and progressed?
Yep, this then moved on from the design stage through the procurement stage, working in line with the chosen contractors for the fit outs of some of the new builds and some of the refurbishments, working with the main build contractors from an early stage, working with the electrical contractors and the IT contractors in principle. Deploying into the healthcare environment brings its own set of operational challenges. One key area is one of the big benefits for deploying the wireless locking solution, which we have to make sure that it is meeting the capabilities against the manufacturers, which is also where the Aperio integration into TDSI came into its own. But areas such as MRI exam rooms, which have a large amount of metalwork frames, we have to be very careful with the deployments, how we do it, which comes down. It gives us the flexibility and the scalability of the quantity of wireless handles, which is unique from a lot of other manufacturers, that up to 8 wireless handles can be deployed from any single point, which are monitored in the same way as which the traditional access control doors are done. But we're not reliant on any specific card technology to deliver that information. The card technology there is to give the customer the flexibility to be able to use their choice of cards, fobs, wristbands, or any of the combination. So for the deployment, yeah, with fitting in with a lot of the infrastructure that comes through, sitting on the IT network is critical. Whether it's a standalone security network or is it's part of the client's network, we have deployed in both scenarios, giving access and flexibility for the team to manage some of the day-to-day locally, but some of the programming and the enhanced features which we can support on remotely. On the deployments, initially as the standalone systems, but now as the systems, as the confidence in the systems start to grow, we are now centralizing the systems to move that forward. So a lot of the day-to-day operation at the sites is very, very minimal now.
Excellent, thank you, Paul. Now, with any part of any system and any delivering of any system, it's great to be talking about all these new features and functionalities, and it's obviously quite daunting for an end customer to be having all these systems dropped on them, and for them to be actually getting the full potential out of them. One of the key things I always find with these systems is the training and the handover of the system so that they get the best use out of it. How did you find and how did you go about the training and handing over the system to the customer so that they got the best use and the best exposure from the products that were implemented as part of the site?
From carrying out the first 2 steps, which is understanding a clear design brief, has to be the starting blocks, which then running through the deployment, understanding the challenges, we then look to take on with the training and handover. That is as key as the initial design. For confidence in the system, especially where we had a client that had previously had system failures from other manufacturers, the confidence and the ease has to come through. With our training, with the level of which our team are experienced and work hand in hand with TDSI, it not only allows us for the training of the system as it's been deployed, but we're also aware of the future developments and also the software, which has become part and parcel of our industry now. With the software developments, the enhancements, no product stands still. The products within the range that for this specific customer has evolved 3 times during the process of the last 3 years, adding additional features to come through, the integration into video, the integration into the intruder side of things. We will manage that from one platform with the interfaces moving forward. Part of the handover, a key feature now is the likes of how do we interface with the fire alarm systems in an environment in the healthcare side of things. So obviously with traditional access control, we have to integrate in. With the wireless integration, there is no integration because with the correct design process, the handles are free handling. We don't have to put the extra infrastructure in, but it's understanding the final sections to do the handover to make sure that the client has a fairly easy process for managing the database and the cards. And if there is issues, we do know with the remote support side of things that the business can offer, and centralising the system, the support can be offered if there is an issue that becomes highlighted.
Thank you, Paul. So training is key, and to the success of any system for yourself and for the actual end user of the system. Now, we started these projects back in 2017 with these sites. They've obviously expanded out and been deployed out to multiple sites now. So I would certainly say that that's been a success, and the customer's been well invested in going forward. How does the customer now use the integrated system on a daily basis on sites? Has that changed from the initial deployment, or has it evolved as the market's changed and also today's environments have changed?
Obviously, with some of the processes that have happened over the last 3 years with the project, stability was a big concern. Initially for the centre managers, how they look after the centre managers, how the systems are managed. But a lot of the solutions now are also designed on a project-to-project basis. The size of the building, what the buildings are being used for, but it gives the client the scalability to be able to deploy the optional functions as it comes through. Centralizing it is now key. Remote support is now key. Having the ability to use the same card credentials for area managers, for district managers. It's not an independent standalone system on site. The credentials are shared across all of the sites for the individual client. So the days of having to have a area district manager that was potentially going around managing the different side of things and the multiple sites, one card credential, and that's enabled a real return on an investment to have that centralized system. But also what is key is also the historical data that can be pulled from any conventional wireless, any conventional access control door, and the same's coming from the wireless side of things. That actual reporting and infrastructure afterwards has become key. We've given the selections the key integration with specifically for this project was with the ASA Aperio. Part of this project, we've also delivered the integration straight into the Milestone ACS, a rock solid platform to move forward with. The integration with alarms, sometimes seen as a real pain and a begrudge spend from a lot of the clients. The integration, where it's an alarm from the access control platform or from the intruder alarm through TDSI's platform will appear in the same manner. And if we decide then to push that on as an event going through to the video management system, the likes of Milestone, with which the case is here, will receive that in exactly the same fashion.
Excellent, thank you, Paul. Really, final question from myself today to just to summarise, really, is following, I would call, successful deployment of the systems. The system has now expanded to several sites across the estate. We've got several more to actually complete over the course of the next 12-18 months. What would you say were the two things that you found important, that you've learned, that would be relevant to other people, other installers and integrators, about learnings that you've had regarding these systems to give them best advice going forward?
A clear understanding of a customer's operational needs is a must before any system is designed, is put forward. Systems continue to evolve. The likes of wireless, if you wound the clock back 5, 6, 7 years, you would see that wireless was deemed as competition for some of the access control door manufacturers. It actually complements it very well. The way we move it forward, we're then enhancing to effectively to the keyless, to the likes of a cleaner's cupboard that historically would have had a cleaner's key. Now with a product come from Aperio, we've now got full scalability and traceability to be able to monitor that door. But one key feature that needs to be done following the design through the deployment to the handover, the essential is maintenance and the maintenance developments that keep evolving. Systems continue to evolve. It is essential that we've now become, with mobile phone technology, used to running updates. It's no different from the operational systems that we're deploying. Our side of things, definitely with the integration side of things, is key. Maintenance and continuous involvement. And the one preference that we have with TDSI and some of our other partners is the long-term commitment. The way we manage the systems, the way we support the systems further down the road, it is key. It's not put the system in and walk away from it. Maintenance is key. Getting a customer to look at potential operational needs and put that back into the pot for the development has been key. It's one of the reasons we glue as RJ Provue into TDSI, because of the flexibility and also the ongoing maintenance and also developments.
Excellent. Thank you, Paul. I really do appreciate that. And thank you.